today's world is being reshaped by technology. But behind every technological leap is a deeper human intent. As we build digital platforms and reimagine financial ecosystems, one question becomes central. How do we ensure that innovation remains inclusive, that growth remains humane, and that progress creates capability, not just convenience? Our guest today has spent decades working at the intersection of technology, leadership, and social transformation. From building institutions to nurturing talent, from enabling enterprises to strengthening grassroots capabilities through Lighthouse Foundation, his journey reflects a rare blend of scale and sensitivity. It's a privilege to welcome Mr. Ganesh Natarajan at the IMA Conclave podcast today. Ganesh sir, welcome to our podcast today.
Thank you.
So basically today's disciplined capital environment versus the earlier liquidity boom, what has become truly non-negotiable for organizations? Strong tech moat, sustainable unit economics or execution depth? And also for your investments at Cornerstone Ventures.
Well, Cornerstone, of course, is one of the 4 funds that I've invested in. Cornerstone initially started off as a software as a service, SaaS enabler. But now, of course, we've kind of segued because SaaS itself is kind of threat thanks to cloud and artificial intelligence. But now we do a lot more in terms of cool technologies. Technologies that transform, technologies that enable. So I think that's extremely important for us. And to your first question, I think the fundamentals don't change. At the end of the day, if a shareholder has put money into you, you have to give a return to that shareholder. So protecting the minority shareholder interest is going to be extremely important. To do that, cool technologies, what you call the technology moat, is of course important because technology is the only enabler of a differentiation today, and deliver. Because if you don't deliver consistently, deliver quality all the time, then your reliability factor goes. So having a core capability which is very strong, delivering it regularly all the time with ISO 9000 or SEI CMM level 5 process accuracy, and ensuring that there is unit economics, ensuring that you're profitable all the time, I think it's a tough combination. But if you manage that combination well, which we did in Aptech and then we did in Zensar, then you'll find the value of the company goes up. And that value is good for all stakeholders. It's good for your customer, it's good for your employee, and of course, it's very good for your shareholder. So I think that combination you cannot lose sight of.
Sir, with NASSCOM projecting Indian IT growth almost to 8 to 12%, and as AI begins to compress these traditional, billing models, are mid-tier firms now being judged less on how fast they can acquire the clients or how they can automate their delivery? And is margin resilience the new growth narrative?
Well, margin resilience has always been the growth narrative. But at this point, they're in an interesting cusp in terms of change. And all of last week, I've been talking to various business channels or will AI completely kill the industry and so on and so forth. My belief is what every sensible IT CEO believes, that we've been through these waves of change. We went through it in the Y2K issue. We went through it in the dot-com bust. We went through it when there was a subprime crisis in the US. And through all these waves of changes, there have been some alteration in the business model. So today, when you look at AI, for instance, it absolutely drives you to change your business model. Business as usual in terms of deploying large armies of people to do maybe programming or testing or migration, that's not going to catch because technology will take care of all that. So in that context, what is the role of people? How do you re-engineer people to become prompt engineers or really AI designers? I think that's important. But let's not forget, and that's really what NASSCOM is saying, there is a huge technical debt in the world. There are legacy systems which need to be transformed, need to be integrated with AI. Because if you just put an agentic AI model on top of an old system, that's like putting lipstick on a pig. It does not change the fundamental nature of the pig. But if you're going to transform it to a very agile system, I think you will find that there's a tremendous amount of innovative thinking involved. So NASSCOM projection that look, initially there will be some hiccups, maybe in the first 6 to 8 quarters, where people are transforming their model. But once you do that, it will be back to business as usual. I mean, I would not say whether it's this double-digit growth or high single-digit, but certainly growth is an imperative and growth can happen. And it's extremely important to know that profitable growth is important. Having said that, I mean, I don't think public companies should just buy back their shares and conserve capital. They should be willing to have some risk appetite. So investing in new technology, investing in new platforms, new templates, all that is going to be important. But once you do that, then you're prepared with the word you use, the technology moat, for the next challenge. And that next challenge is going to be continuing growth, profitable growth, and customer satisfaction. That doesn't change at all.
Sir, Nifty IT index faced its worst monthly drop in years together. Anthropic, as you know, valued at $380 billion now, exceeds the combined worth of India's top IT giants. What are your views on IT companies and valuations?
Well, talking about Anthropic, if you look at NVIDIA, is valued at 4.7 trillion, which is more than the Indian GDP. So you could argue that little companies are becoming larger than countries, which is interesting. But these are what the hyperscalers. With the hyperscalers are on a growth momentum, almost similar to how IT services were maybe 10 years back. And I think what you will find is that Indian companies will compete well. They'll compete not by, in fact, our minister, if you look at the recent AI summit, Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw very rightly said that, look, if you look at a 5-layer stack of AI, okay, it starts from the energy layer, then to the infrastructure layer, and then, of course, the data layer, and then the model, and then the applications. India is well served because we are not going to invest huge amounts of money as a government. I mean, the Chinese government has invested $65 billion last year in AI. India is talking about 1.2 billion, so much smaller. American companies themselves will be investing probably 800 billion next year. So that's not the climate in which we can compete. Where we can compete is being very nimble application providers. And whether it's the IT industry, whether there's a whole Indian focus of what we should do as an AI nation, it's going to be on applications, new models, and implementing fast. And by doing that, we democratize IT. Okay, we govern it well, we have to have it reaching the common man. I think that is the purpose we serve. And I think companies should also participate and make that happen. Helping global companies to reimagine and redesign and re-engineer is part of our DNA. But helping India also to succeed by every Indian being skilled in the new AI methods and not lose jobs because jobs are going away in traditional programming. I think that's our purpose.
Sure. And last question. Building digital future with love and inclusion as your vision, how do you practically apply the concept of love and inclusion while consulting on digital engineering and AI?
See, that is the strength of any Indian organization. Because if you look at a classical American company, I mean, whether you look at Elon Musk or so many other people, I mean, they're all about driving value. And people become almost irrelevant in the process. Now, to my mind, it's extremely important to take people along. Because leadership cannot do work in spite of team, however much technology it is. So for instance, AppTech, when we had an amazing retention record of people, young people staying on, building their careers. Sensor, there was a time when we had an attrition level of as low as 8% in an industry where attrition was 18%. So I think getting people to participate, what we called vision communities. There's a wonderful Harvard Business School case study called Vision Communities at Zensar, which is still taught at Harvard Business School. And that talks about what is a friendship, which is inclusion, including everybody in the overall growth of the organization. My own personal purpose, what I stand for today is love, inclusion and happiness for myself and for others. And the entity you're building across India in 50 cities or Lighthouse is working even with slum youth to make sure that they get the sense of agency and aspiration. And then they're able to take that aspiration to success in their careers. So to my mind, that's the single most important. You're a large country, a lot of young people looking for jobs. So we cannot exclude people in our passion for it. Inclusion and making sure that everybody participates is the purpose.
Thanks a lot, sir. It was wonderful having your great ideas, I think, and I'm sure a lot of people building technology would be really inspired by your great work.
Thank you. I wish IMA all the best. I mean, you guys are a great management association. So keep doing great work.
Thanks a lot, sir.